From Lagos, Nigeria, this is News Central. I'm Felicity as we get the top stories tonight. West African Examination Council reviews SSCE results as English Maths pass rate jumps from 38.32% to 62.9% within 4 days. PDP warns members against endorsing President Tinubu for 2027 presidency, vows to sanction anyone found culpable. Israeli allies raise objection to Netanyahu's security cabinet's approval to take over military control of Gaza City.
In business, the federal government launches 100 billion solarization initiative to power public infrastructure and reduce reliance on diesel.
And in sport, Benin Republic national team coach urges FIFA to resolve eligibility case involving South African player before 2026 World Cup qualifiers resume.
Thank you for being here. We begin tonight with the West African Examination Council results glitch, which is taking a new turn each day. Now, the examination body has announced a significant upward review in a number of candidates who obtained credit passes in 5 subjects, including English language and mathematics, in a 2025 senior school certificate examination. According to the examination body, 1,239,884 candidates, representing 62.9% of the 1,969,313 candidates who sat for the examination, now have the required credits following a review of the results released earlier in the week. The new figure marks a sharp improvement from the initial 754,545 candidates, or 38.32% earlier recorded as meeting the benchmark for admission into tertiary institutions. The new results show that between Monday, August the 4th, and Friday, August the 8th, 2025, a period of 4 days interval, 24.8%, which represents more than 400,000 of the candidates, would have failed without the review. Education consultant Professor Fawemi, as well as education researcher Dr. Peter Ogundoro, joins me now for this conversation. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being here. Dr. Fawemi, I'll start with you because we talked about this just the other day. On Monday, 38.32% of candidates had 5 credits, including English and maths, only to have that number increase to 62% in 4 days. Why the rush in the first place? Why didn't WAEC delay to be certain before coming out with this result? What is wrong with doing due diligence as against rushing to present results?
Okay, thank you very much, and thanks for inviting me, and thanks again for the opportunity. Your question is very important and very interesting at the same time, because if you say, why did JAM not do due diligence? We know JAM did due diligence. I mean, we know WAEC. WAEC is a credit.
It doesn't look like that, Professor Fawemi. It doesn't look like they did due diligence. If they had done it, it doesn't take 4 days. 4 days. Lives would have been distorted, redirected, if they didn't own up.
Okay, so let's take a systems approach to this conversation, right? What happened during JAM, which is another parastatal under the Federal Ministry of Education, was an exam was done, there were problems, the results was released, there was a lot of shout, and then there was a reversal and an apology. JAM, another parastatal under the Federal Ministry of Education, conducted an exam, released the results, there was some shouting, and then they went back to say, we made a mistake, and then the result changed. So if you take a systems approach to those 2 actions, you will realize that somebody is designing a script that is consistent between these 2 organizations. So it's not a question. So if you look at it as JAM, or if you look at it as WAEC, you will not really understand what exactly is playing out. There's a script being played out, and the script is following the same pattern. Let Nigerian students, almost 2 of them, write exams. Ensure you change something before the exams that potentially could lead to risk. Take very high-risk decisions that you might not have tested well, because a question somebody needs to ask is, JAMB came out, and JAMB was very wise. You know, when JAMB came out with the apology, they claimed that they had to adopt a method that a national organization had used. There are many national organizations that do examinations in Nigeria. It could be NAFTEB, it could be NAIB. The one closest to WAEC is JAMB. So WAEC openly said we were allowed or asked to copy JAMB that had a glitch, and we now have a glitch. Now, so the question is not about whether it's a question of there is a script, and the script is being played out. And one of the questions we need to ask ourselves as Nigerians is, what is the objective of the script? Because this is a clear attempt to discredit our examination bodies. Is there an agenda to get some results from all of this? Because by now, any foreigner that looks at JAMB and looks at WAEC has enough reasons to say these bodies are not credible. Is this a stylish way to introduce another regulator or a private investor in our education system?
Professor Fawemi, I think you're sliding to the realm. You're sliding to the realm of conspiracy, or that is not what we're seeing today. What they are saying, we're working with the information that they're giving to us. Whether there is some scrumptious behavior going on, we don't know. What we know for now is what they are saying. So, I mean, when you say things like that, it's almost like you're looking for excuses for them.
No, so think about this from this point of view. The 2 subjects, the 5 subjects that JAMB used to test this new method, on the same day they wrote the exam in Nigeria, they wrote in 4 other countries. Why was the problem only in Nigeria?
I mean, it's a question for them to respond. It is a question for them to respond. Whatever the technicalities are. Okay. Let me bring in Dr. Ogudoro for now. I mean, whatever the challenges were, 400,000 students, their lives could have been redirected in some way by this failure, this mass failure by an organization that should have done due diligence prior to an announcement. It took 4 days for them to come out. Do you agree with Professor Fawemi that there is some sort of effort to discredit our examination body with the comparison that he's making that this same exam went on in some other countries, 4 other countries?
Well, the truth we know is that most of the people who participated in designing this system that has given us this result, and who supervised the exam, and who were in the halls as invigilators, and who also served as school principals who provided basic infrastructure that made WAEC conduct the exams in these places. And we eventually also marked the scripts. They're all, 99% of them are Nigerians. So we may not completely ignore the possibility that there may be some conspirators who are trying to undo Nigeria. But if you do my kind of job as a researcher in this industry, I have been doing this for about 40 years, what you will recognize is that Nigeria hasn't done well in terms of acknowledging that we do have a problem in the education industry. Most of the people who are playing critical roles in the industry, really, no matter the level, right from kindergarten up to up to university level, are people who haven't had the opportunity to acquire the right leadership skills and management skills to be able to run huge systems like the ones we are discussing here. So most of the time, people get basic skills through their university degrees, and we give them very important responsibilities to handle. If you are running a huge organization such as WAEC, you have to know that you must make a deliberate effort to ensure that your quality assurance system is robust, and it's not something that people can easily discredit, really. But from what we have seen so far, both JAMB and WAEC in recent times have, by the way they have behaved, convinced us that they can do better with respect to quality assurance. Because within the space of 4 days, just as you rightly pointed out, coming out to let us know that close to 500,000 lives were involved in terms of people who they told us they didn't have credits. That population, here we joke a lot with the people's lives. This population we're looking at here is more than the population of the country called Iceland. It's very close to the population of the country in West Africa here called Cape Verde. It's about 20% of the country called Botswana. We are toying with the lives of young people. Many of them are already harassed by all kinds of economic and social challenges at the moment. And then you bring this to put on their shoulders and on the shoulders of their parents. You are inducing depression, and some of them are already contemplating, suicide. We have seen a case where somebody, a young girl, actually committed suicide when the JAMB matter came out. So I think that these are problems that we can anticipate. I have consistently made the point that we are not ready for the kind of technology that these examination bodies are insisting on. We haven't got what it takes manpower-wise and infrastructure-wise to go as far as we are going. We have to tread softly so that we don't keep creating avoidable problems.
All right. I think, okay, I was a little distracted with the died by suicide comments. But Professor Fawemi, let me come to you and ask, I mean, like most Nigerians, I am personally pained. What should happen now? What should be the response to this, what a lot of persons would say, actually avoidable error that occurred at the expense of the future of this nation? I mean, if you take into cognizance the fact that in less than 24 hours of a prominent figure misbehaving, there was an instant response from the federal government via the Minister of Aviation saying that no fly, demand has been made. Anybody that flies this individual will own up for it, will pay for it, even though that individual has come up to react to it. Do you expect that same energy and response to this fiasco?
Yes, a great question, and thanks again. Let me acknowledge what Dr. Gudori has also said. It's important for us to ask the question, when an incident happens the first time, it could be happen chance. If it happens the second time, then you could ask a question. Now, when we had the first incident with JAMB, there was no consequence management. There was nobody that we know was publicly reprimanded or suspended or even investigated. Interestingly, what you realized rather was that before the acknowledgement, the minister was commending JAMB for saying the exam was the best they have had. So there was a first incident and there was no consequence. Now we have a second incident. Would there be a consequence? I don't know. But if I stand with my earlier assertion, which you decided to call a conspiracy theory, and interestingly, there is nothing bad in conspiracy theories, because conspiracy theories are theories based on events and facts. The only challenge is with the conspiracy theories that you have not yet identified the person, organization responsible for the chain of events. So the point is that we had a bad situation with JAMB and we did not mete out any consequence to anyone. And therefore, most likely, now that it has happened again, there may not be any consequence there.
I would want to explore the conversation of consequences, though, but that was not the aim of my question. My question, Prof, was what response, what action do you expect to salvage this? I mean, because like it or not, both JAMB and WAEC have their reputation in shambles as we speak. So what actions can the government take to show that they are going to make expedited efforts to ensure that this does not happen ever again?
I would say something that may shock you is to ask a basic question: who gave the directions for WAEC to change and copy another body? Because WAEC has been in existence since forever, right? And they have been doing their things across West Africa. Who gave the instructions for JAM to use the same method a national body was using? Number one, we need to investigate why that person took that decision. Secondly, we need to also ask, why did we not do sampling testing or beta testing, as they call in computer science, with subjects that had fewer students? Why did we select 5 subjects that has a majority of the students? Every student writes English, every student writes math. Why did we try those 2 subjects and biology and economics? Those were the big subjects that had a number of students for a new process you are doing. It's a basic rule of change management that you must try to do what is within your means. Why did we not try a subject that had fewer candidates in case there's a problem we can quickly rectify? We didn't do that. We went to take the classes, the subject that had the mass of students to try what we have not done. Who took that decision and did not consider the fact that we needed to do a test? And finally, when the result came out and they realized that this result was the worst result in the last 10 years, I know the quality of people in WAEC. The people in WAEC will have been concerned that we have this poor result considering the last 10 years. Who allowed them to go ahead to release the result, despite the fact that it is out of tune for what we have had in the last 10 years? Now, if you cannot identify the who, it is there you can now start to say, what should we have done to ensure that person didn't take that decision? Because all of this that have happened has been series of decisions that were suboptimal decisions. There were decisions that did not follow science or adequate logic, or in the case of decisions that were taken that could have been challenged. So sometimes we think that the problem is the organization. Sometimes the problem is the decision-making process of the organization.
We also have Dr. Ogundoro, so I need to give him talk time. Even though what you're saying is very important, I still need to give him some talk time. What I'm getting from what you're submitting is that there is need for a proper investigation, in-depth one, as to what led to these decisions. Dr. Ogundoro, I want to ask you about the students. Like it or not, 4 days ago, these students were thinking that, oh, I'm not good enough, or I must have failed. What did I do wrong? How did I make this mistake? How come I have this result despite all the efforts that I put in? So what kind of conversation should we be having with this young chap who 1 minute were thinking they were not enough, they didn't do enough, only after 4 days, they now know that actually their effort paid off and they did well?
Well, you have to acknowledge that what we're experiencing is resulting in our young ones and even their parents losing confidence in the entire education system in Nigeria. And all of us are complaining about brain drain. So many Nigerians, especially parents, are beginning to look outside. And what will look like, what we should see as an unintended consequence of this is the fact that Cambridge exam is going to become more popular, IGCSE, which is coming from the UK. So you'll find Nigerian children who are studying here who are likely to prefer to write exams that are coming from outside the country. So SAT, which comes from the US, is going to become more popular. IGCSE coming from the UK will become more popular. And that will make us lose money, and our currency will get devalued the more because all of these exams involve, foreign exchange. And so from every indication, I think we're in a very difficult place. We haven't behaved well. And as Prof was trying to acknowledge, I do sympathize with some of the issues he has raised, really, because if you play in the sector, you will understand that WAEC doesn't begin and end everything. All the decisions we see WAEC, come out to make it look like they're the ones who are taking the decisions. So a lot of those decisions are induced by people who supervise WAEC. And we have to try and get close to those people and get them to trade softly. Because this whole idea of insisting, for example, that in 2026, all WAEC exams and NECO exams must be done with CBT, we are likely to face very huge challenges.
I mean, this conversation, there's so many dimensions to this conversation, and the short time we have is not enough. So, gentlemen, I want to ask on live television if you would oblige us on Tuesday next week to be on one slot at 5 p.m. to have an extended conversation on the subject of WAEC and JAM failure.
I'll be available.
All right.
Okay. I will be available except there is a technical glitch.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. We're on a short break now. The news continues right after. We will tell you about the detention of Omoyele Sowore now that he has regained freedom. Stay with us. You're watching tonight on News Central. A reminder of our top stories. West African Examination Council reviews SSCE results as English Maths pass rate jumps from 38.35% to 62.9% within 4 days. PDP warns members against endorsing President Tinubu for 2027, vows to sanction anyone found culpable. Israeli allies raise objection to Netanyahu's security cabinet's approval to take over military control of Gaza City. The National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party has warned members against endorsing President Bola Tinubu ahead of the 2027 election. Over the past few months, some PDP chieftains and stakeholders have backed Tinubu's re-election bid. Some party members who have voiced support for the president include FCT Minister Nyesom Wike, former governor of Ekiti State, Ayodele Fayose, Osun State caucus of the PDP, among others. In a statement on Friday, PDP spokesperson Debo Ologunagba described the endorsements as anti-party activities. The statement said Section 10, subsection 6 of the PDP Constitution prohibits members from undermining the party. Now, let's tell you that the rights activist and presidential candidate of the African Action Congress, AAC, in the 2023 general election, Omoyele Sowore, has regained his freedom from the police. The disclosure was made late on Friday via a broadcast message sent out from the activist's private WhatsApp number and shared with News Central. Sowore had been detained by police authorities at the force headquarters in Abuja since Wednesday after he honored an invitation by the Inspector General of Police Monitoring Unit for interrogation over allegations of forgery and criminal defamation. He was questioned for more than 7 hours, after which the IGP Monitoring Unit claimed it had obtained a court order to remand him. Sowore thanked his supporters for standing behind him during what he described as unjust, unwarranted, and entirely unlawful detention.
What should have been done is what they don't know what to do, which is to swallow their pride, release me from detention, apologize to me, and ensure that I can go for proper treatment. But they want to hide it. Since I came here yesterday, they broke my hand. They have not been able to bring a doctor. They went and brought a nurse. Instead of them bringing a doctor, they went and brought the media now. This is all part of the nonsense your IG and
just based on
all these foolish people are doing with Nigeria.
Based on the request from
and I hope that you can take the material
based on the request.
Nobody requested for media. They are the ones who brought it. And I was expecting it, and I've been expecting it.
Hold on,
this
please.
Is the height of foolishness.
We have it on record.
The IGP
based on
and the president of Nigeria. I'm ashamed of the president of Nigeria that under his watch, Nigeria has become this kind of foolish theater. Are you getting my point?
Okay, so I think we are done.
I think we are done. And I told the commissioner of police who brought you that he didn't need to subject himself to this.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. We are done, please. We are done. Please respect the purpose of this interview.
The Nigerian police have no integrity.
We are done. We are done. We are done. We are done.
They want to use you to
we are done. We are done. Please, thank you.
So that was Mr. Sowore giving his submission on what the development is. The Nigerian police is now saying that it's now saying it's
Screening of candidates for the Rivers State local government elections is underway at the Independent Electoral Commission office in Port Harcourt. The exercise, initially set for 2 days, was compressed into a single day midway through the process. Candidates described the screening as credible and in full compliance with electoral requirements, adding that they are ready for the August 30 poll. But in a twist of events, stakeholders in the state have asked President Bola Tinubu to stop the planned local government elections in Rivers State. In a joint statement issued on Thursday, the Rivers stakeholders said Ibok-Ete, sole administrator of the state, lacks the legitimacy to conduct local government elections. The Rivers indigents expressed reservations over the composition of RISEC, saying it was illegally constituted. The stakeholders said the sole administrator appointed by the president has no constitutional mandate to organize an LG poll, noting that his action threatens the very foundation of the federal system, the rule of law, and the peace of Rivers State. Jacob Pele is a policy expert. He joins me now to speak on the politics and policy in Rivers State. Thank you very much for being here. The stakeholders have said a lot about the illegality of the planned process on August 30. And on the one hand, they have that. And then on the other hand, you have people who are participating in the screening exercise, saying that they are ready for the August 30 election. What do we do?
Good evening, and it's great to be here. Well, we're seeing an epic movie of a sort. The amphitheater is River State. The script probably was scripted in FCT Minister's office and executively directed by Aso Rock. That's the situation that we see. The process is illegal. The process lacks morality. The process lacks every common sense and does not meet the integrity text of electoral process. We cannot have an unelected chief executive administer an election and then elected people will emerge. That's an aberration of the Constitution. That's an aberration of every known democratic processes. And unfortunately, Rivers State is a testing ground for this height of constitutional breach. This is what we have seen. This is what we are witnessing. This shouldn't happen in a purely democratic process. I want to reiterate.
Sorry to interject. As you were speaking, I was thinking of the courts, and then I thought about the fact that the stakeholders are writing to President Bola Tinubu, the same president who declared the state of emergency in the state and installed a sole administrator, and the same president who they have been appealing to over the months to do something to lift the state of emergency, yet that has not happened. What are the chances that he would listen this time around and intervene for an event already scheduled for August 30?
Well, look, my position is good men should not keep quiet, otherwise evil will thrive. They may not hear our voice, but certainly they would know that somebody raised his or her voice in the process. And I'm one of such voices that will not be kept silent. Whether he does what we want or not, we will voice out our opinion to Nigerians and allow the court of public opinion to judge how this history, how this whole thing, trajectory is playing out. However, that's not the only thing that is happening. Now, number one, you have to understand that there's the court injunction asking the federal government not to conduct this election. Number two, which is more troubling to me, is what I heard from the grapevine. And they should fault me if that is wrong by telling us that is not the case. It's almost a known fact now that the federal government and Ibok are borrowing money to do what they are doing in Rivers State, which will leave us in debt because there's an injunction that stops the central bank from releasing the resources allocated to the state, except they are doing it through the back door. But from all indication, there is a court injunction that stops the central bank from releasing that allocation.
All right, I'm told we have less than 1 minute for this conversation, so I'll just go ahead and ask you quickly. Has there been any precedent of the sort we're experiencing in Rivers State in Nigeria? And what would be, have the elders like yourself inquired from legal minds the legality of a functioning state of emergency sole administrator conducting local government elections in a democracy?
I will put it the other way around. The illegality of a state administrator that I've often described as a state animator, the illegality of that gentleman to conduct a legal, so what would have been termed a legal election. But this time, it is absolutely illegal. And that's what it is. From MBA to every known legal luminary, it's been described as illegal. The process is completely illegal. They did not obey the text of the clauses of the Electoral Act. And this is perpetuality of illegality. That's just the way I can describe it.
Thank you very much, sir, for speaking with us tonight. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, New Central, and keep being the champion of democracy.
Still ahead, family of Lungu's burial row heads to family of Lungu heads to Supreme Court over repatriation order to Zambia. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Following several media reports of public disturbances leveled against some business premises in Ibok-Ete CDA in Lagos State by the men and task force of the State Ministry of Fiscal Planning, the residents have protested what they say is a strategic plan to take over their property. This also led to one of the aggrieved residents reaching out to New Central via our X handle to further express his fear of unlawfully losing his property. In this special report, New Central's special correspondent on investigative journalism, Marshal Anthony Anonyi, has more.
The residents of Ibok-Ete CDA in Lagos State have rallied behind one man, Adetunji Shobayede, who is the owner of a public lounge and hotel situated within the CDA, to raise alarm over what they describe as intimidation and oppression of their common social interest by one man known as Adewale Akomu through the use of state apparatus alleging strategic takeover of their property.
I just believe there might be a forceful intention of something, maybe forceful takeover of something, I don't know what mission, somebody's forceful taking something away from you. That is what I feel as a resident of this area.
Don't just allow someone to be using the economic resources they have to be trampling on the rights of others. Everybody has freedom of association, freedom of movement, freedom of speech, freedom of conscience. You have right to property, this other person to have right to property. If you want to get someone's property and you could not get it at that time, and another person got it, you shouldn't be infuriating or trying to frustrate the effort.
Mr. Adetunji had reached out to News Central via the comment section on our post on social media X platform, wherein he alleged that his property was about to be taken over by men from the Ministry of Lagos State Town Planning Task Force.
So they're just following a fictitious petition by my neighbor here, which his name is Pastor Adewale Akomu, that they have claimed that the residence is unsafe, and based on that instruction, they came to seal up my premises. I see this as a plot, possibly to falsely take over my business. Do you understand? Because they had several intentions in the past to, buy off this place.
Earlier, some print media had published stories stating that the members of the CDA had petitioned the Ministry of Town Planning over public and environmental disturbances emanating from the public lounge owned by Mr. Adetunji Shoboyede.
All the media companies, none of them came to me to even proofread or verify all these claims, and they fly with them. So I had to reach out to News Center. So I'm begging the general public and the Lagos State government.
Ogunleyatunde Samuel is the chairman of the CDA. He denies issuing any petition against the business establishment or any member of the community.
The letterhead is with me personally. I don't even release any of our letterhead. If you have any letter to give someone else, I'm the one who will go and print it. So let them bring the letter. The one who will sign it.
What followed was an action by the members of the Town Planning Task Force who stormed the property, sealing it up and arresting some staff of the hotel. We approached Mr. Adewale Akomu to listen to his side of things. Initially, he refused to speak to us on camera, but later accepted to have his voice recorded.
It's not me. I don't work in Lagos. I don't work in government office, or I'm not a government official. It's not me. What I know is noise. The truth, we can't cover the truth anywhere you go in the world. What I know is noise, sir.
Mr. Akamu denied having anything to do with recent reports against any member of the CDA, stressing that he only complained on behalf of other members about noisy activities at the lounge in 2023. We then visited the Ministry of Town Planning, seeking audience with the Director of Fiscal Planning, Mr. Adekunle Obikpeyin, whom we were told is behind the sealing of the property. He refused to comment.
It creates fear in a lot of people that you can actually invest a lot of money somewhere and an individual can forge a document.
Now we are worried what the man can do with this issue that is bringing out. Because the hotel doesn't make noise. This very building that I'm on now is the back of the hotel and we doesn't feel any noise. So it's out of heavy. This man is doing this. Because we, the community people, we never experienced this kind of things before.
News Central has since written to the Lagos State Commissioner for the Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development, seeking answers that we hope could give clarity to the actions taken by the men of his ministry. It is expected that the Lagos State government will look into this matter with a view to resolving it and settling frayed nerves. For News Central, Marshall Anthony Onoye.
Kogi State is leading the way in Nigeria's health insurance coverage, with 11% of adults enrolled, outpacing other states like Lagos and Oyo. This latest data from StatiSense and EFINA reflects the state's strong commitment to making quality and affordable health care accessible to all residents. Central to this success is the Kogi State Health Insurance Agency under the leadership of Dr. Kunle Aladare. Their focused outreach efforts, especially in rural areas, have enabled thousands of people to access essential health services without worrying about the cost. Further expanding coverage, the Kogi State government recently signed a landmark agreement with the Nigeria Union of Local Government Employees. Israel's allies are piling the pressure on Jerusalem after the Security Cabinet approved a plan to take over control of Gaza City, a key Hamas stronghold, although the statement stopped short of confirming an occupation of the entire Gaza Strip. But United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres criticized Israel's plans, saying the decision marked a dangerous escalation that risked deepening the already catastrophic consequences for Palestinians. European Council President Antonio Costa also sharply criticized Israel, insisting that the decision to implement it must have an impact on its relations with the bloc. Germany already took matters a step further, halting authorization for military equipment exports to Gaza until further notice. Israel insists the strategy is aimed at dismantling Hamas control, but critics warn it could spark further bloodshed. The family of former Zambian President Edgar Lungu said they are bringing an application for leave to appeal the judgment by Pretoria High Court that the body of former Zambian President Edgar Lungu must be returned to Zambia for a state funeral. The ruling comes after a tense standoff between Lungu's family and the Zambian government over where he should be laid to rest. The court ruled in favor of the Zambian government, affirming its rights to conduct a state funeral for the late leader. Lungu's family has been ordered to release his remains so they can be repatriated for burial in his home country. Tonight returns with business, sports, and entertainment. Stay with us. Perpetua has tonight's business news.
The federal government has launched the National Public Sector Solarization Initiative, NPSSI, to power public institutions with clean energy and reduce diesel reliance. The program, backed by 100 billion naira in initial funding, was formalized through an MOU between the Rural Electrification Agency, REA, Ministry of Finance Incorporated, MOFI, Infracorp, and the Budget Office. NPSSI aims to install solar systems in schools, hospitals, government offices, and security facilities. REA MD Abba Aliyu described the initiative as a major shift toward a sustainable energy future. After decades of strained relations, Zimbabwe and the UK are reviving diplomatic and trade ties, driven by growing global demand for critical minerals. UK Minister for Africa, Lord Collins, recently met President Martin Mnangagwa to discuss a $1 billion investment pipeline across sectors like mining, agriculture, and energy. This marks a significant shift from years of Western sanctions and Zimbabwe's isolation following land seizures in the 2000s. The UK now sees Zimbabwe's lithium reserves as strategic to diversifying supply chains. The renewed engagement aligns with Zimbabwe's new economic diplomacy. The strategy is to boost investment and global relevance. To stock market now, for the 11th straight week, the domestic equities market stayed bullish, buoyed by sustained bargain hunting and a strong positive reaction to the newly enacted Insurance Industry Reform Act. The GX All-Share Index closed the week up 3.2% week over week. And for a summary of Friday's trading activities, let's take a look at a snapshot now. You can see the market is down 56 basis points. It's closing 145,754.91. And you see market capitalization closing at 92.21 trillion. Now, still maintaining the 92 trillion naira mark. The market snapped its 26-day winning streak today as we saw profit taking in Boa Cement, MTN, and Custodian, dragging the all-share index low by 56 basis points. To sectoral performance now, 3 of the 5 tracked sectors closed higher. Looking at banking, it's out a 19 basis point gain, lifted by Access Corporation and First Holdco, despite weakness in some mid-tier names. Now to insurance, it's up 6.11%. That means it extended its blistering run, with ICO, Cornerstone, and Linkage Assurance all rallying sharply. Oil and gas is also up 38 basis points. That, of course, was driven by Owando's 3.7% advance. And on the flip side, we've got consumer goods down 2 basis points, and you've got industrial goods down 1.54%, and that is as a result of losses in heavyweight, which of course weighed on the index. You can talk about Boa Cement right there. And that's it for business tonight. I am Perpetua, fast repeater. Tonight continues with Felicity. Enjoy the weekend. Bye for now.
Favor is here with the latest sports. Hello, Favor.
Hello, Felicity. And very world of sports is blistering with lots of interesting stories. The Cheetahs of Benin Republic head coach Genotro has voiced his frustration over FIFA's prolonged delay in making a decision regarding South Africa's alleged use of an ineligible player during the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifier. South Africa fielded Teboho Mokoena in the 2-0 win over Lesotho, a game he was supposed to be suspended for after picking up 2 yellow cards in previous games of the qualifiers. The coach, who was at the helm when Nigeria was docked 3 points in 2018 for a similar offense against Algeria in the dead rubber game, urged FIFA to make it clear before the resumption of games in the qualifiers in September. Benin Republic are in same group with South Africa, Nigeria, Zimbabwe, and Lesotho. Still talking football, the Confederation of African Football (CAF) has named 2 Tanzania football legends, Abdallah Kibadeni Mputa of Simba SC and Sunday Manara of Young Africans SC, as draw assistants for the 2025-26 CAF Interclub preliminary draw. The event will be staged on Saturday, the 9th of August, at the state-of-the-art Azam Media Studios in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, CAF's Keys broadcast hub in East Africa. The draw, set for 11 a.m., will be broadcast live across CAF partners. The preliminary round of the CAF Champions League and Confederation Cup kicks off 19 September, followed by the second preliminary round on 17 October, the group stage on the 21st of November, and the knockout phase from 13 March 2026. And to wrap up sports update, South Africa fought back to hold Algeria to a 1-1 draw in the 2024 African Nations Championship Group C match at the Mandela National Stadium in Kampala, Uganda on Friday evening. The Desert Foxes broke the deadlock a minute before the half-hour mark as Abedno Belosini beats goalkeeper Samukelo Zulu with a powerful shot to give Algeria a 1-0 lead. Menzim Masuku set up Tabiso Kutumela, who scored to make it 1-1 heading into the halftime break. Bafana Bafana are currently third in the group standings after starting their campaign with a draw. Coach Molifi Nseki's side will be hoping to bounce back to winning ways when they face Guinea on the 11th of August. Meanwhile, the Desert Foxes remain top of the group standings with 4 points from 2 games. And that wraps it up on Sports Update. I'm Favor Itwa.
And always here with the news, entertainment news.
You know how it is. But let me give you all the detail, because today, some really shocking discovery. Now, Fuji legend K1 The Ultimate has cleared the air and poured some water on all the drama over his August 5th airport incident in Abuja. In a statement, he apologized and explained that his much talked about flask wasn't hiding booze, just water, thanks to his health condition that keeps him sipping water constantly. That's what he said. He said it was empty during the security checks and only filled at the lounge before boarding, adding that CCTV cameras could back his claim up. K1 stressed that he never was deboarded and apologized to the Presidency, aviation authorities, ValueJet, and Nigerians for the mix-up, calling the whole saga unfortunate. Felicity, according to the Nigerian Aviation Act, incidents like this, you know, you can have jail time and huge fines. But now he's out with a statement. What do you make of this, really?
Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. I personally feel that this is an example of the bigger problem we have in the country. His apology will seem to solve all the problem and perhaps even remove him from taking any accountability for what happened. But this is Nigeria. Let's see what happens, whether the nation will accept his apology and remove the...
We move on from there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me quickly jump into the other conversation. But maybe because of time, we won't be able to take that. But that's all we have in entertainment, by the way.
That's all the news we have for you tonight. Would love to hear from you, thoughts, feedback, and eyewitness report. You can do that by following us on all our social media platforms or sharing them via the number on your screen. We are at News Central TV if you want to follow us on social media. You can watch live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. Thank you for watching. Have a good weekend.